There was a time when Scott Boras was feared and revered. That time is past. Scott Boras comes to the GM meetings each year, sets up his own backdrop, and members of the media bless their souls because they want to get great quotes. They give him a platform for him to spew nonsense only about his free agents. How nobody on the Intergoogle has strung together all of the Scott Boras media availabilities from the GM meetings and the winter meetings over the years to keep track of all of the crap. I'm going to show you some video of things because they're players that interest you, including Scoobo. But first, I want to tell you, as an executive, every year of my career at the GM meetings and the winter meetings, Scott Boras did it. And do you know what we did as a front office? We laughed. We ignored. It had zero impact. The fact that he wants to tell you about his free agents to try to pressure teams into doing deals they don't want to do, we laugh. 1 year, the laugh was on Scott. Because 1 year, our owner got snookered by Boras into signing Wei-Yin Chen. 1 year, it worked with one player. Much to our chagrin, though, Wei-Yin Chen is a great guy other than his choice of agents. 1 year. The majority of teams, like 30 of them, would watch this video. Just, do you think Steve Cohen watches this video and says, oh my God, now I understand? Watch this video on Pete Alonso.
Pete, at this point in his career, he's about winning, no doubt. Had that question a lot. There's no doubt that Pete's pursuers are primed to pay the power piper. You know, Pete picked the perfect period to play preeminently at a primary position. A playoff parched plethora will pounce to participate in the polar plunge.
Can't stand the thought of media laughing at those alliterations. I can't stand the thought that Pete Alonso looks at that like some cult leader saying, wow, this guy's advocating for me. This guy's making a difference for me. You think Steve Cohen pays attention to that? He says, oh, that's definitely $30 million a year for 5 years. We're going to give him that 150 because we are playoff parched. And we know that we have to take the polar plunge with the polar bear. Who knows, whatever the hell he said. Do you not cringe when you see that and hear that? Do you think that's effective advocacy for a client? I dealt with hundreds of agents. Their effectiveness is based on information. It's based on understanding the market. It's based on understanding the player. It's not based on the idiocy of alliteration in front of a public that is laughing at him, not with him. Pete Alonso's chances of being on the Mets have not improved because Scott Boras took the podium to tell you what an important player he would be in the playoffs. Pete Alonso's decision to be a Met will be based on what Stephen Cohen decides to tell David Stearns he is willing to go to in order to retain Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso is the same player who Scott Boras talked about last year and couldn't get a long-term deal for. Pete Alonso is the same player that he was then, now, except he's a year older. What is it about this year that would make the Mets do something that they weren't willing to do last year? Did they learn something? Yeah, he got a year older. Do you think other teams looked at Pete Alonso and said, wow, we really are parched for power at this primary position, and it didn't occur to us that we'd have a chance to bring Pete Alonso into the fold. Now I'm aware of it, and we'll hit the bid. Didn't know it last year, but we got it done this year. It's preposterous. But he went through his entire list of players. Listen to what he said about Tarek Skubal, who's not even going to be a free agent for another year.
the fans in Detroit want the Tigers to build a Tarek Barrack. They Little Caesar's running around town saying "Sai Sai," so it's a kind of thing where he's built a base. Obviously, everywhere they go, they know it's Scooble Day. They understand that organization is substantially different if he's not there, and when you're in these situations and you go through it, all we know is that we hear mostly from the fans, and the player hears from the fans, and it's kind of like it should be Scooby done, right? And if not, I think the fans would certainly think it's a Detroit doink if they don't.
Did you hear what he said about we hear mostly from the fans and the players? Do you get what I mean by that? That the people who matter, the owners and the presidents and the GMs, they don't actually pay attention. Fans and players, that's who you're going to use as a way to show us that it's going to be a Detroit doink if they don't sign him long term. Chris Ilitch, the Ilitch family, their Little Caesar family, Little Caesar money, pizza, pizza. So instead he said, Cy, Cy, as in his 2 Cy Young Awards. Oh, I didn't know how to value the player until I thought of it that way as a Little Caesar pizza man. He also has Alex Bregman. I can't show you the video of it because it's so absurd. I'm just going to tell you. He said, give the owners credit. He's talking about John Henry of the Red Sox. They went out to spend some $1 to bring in a Bregman blend. Do you get it? This is coffee. That led them to the playoffs. I'm sure the Boston fans don't want this to be just a cup of coffee, and no one wants a Brexit. Get it? No one wants him to leave because no one wants a Brexit like England. Oh, that's true. Bregman is not English, but let's not quibble over that. And yes, one of the sponsors of the Red Sox, Dunkin' Donuts. So I get the whole donuts. The whole Starbucks thing is a little strange because it's not the Mariners. Oh, by the way, Bregman opted out because he had a short-term deal because he was your client last year, Scott, who you couldn't get a long-term deal for that you promised. And now you're backpedaling the same guy again. He did the same thing with Cody Bellinger, peddling him again because he couldn't get a long-term deal with him. Now comparing him to Iceman and Top Gun in order to prove that he has what it takes to be with Aaron Judge and to be the Yankees lineup stalwart. He is peddling the same crap with older players. I would ask all front offices, because I know you're listening. I know that you're feeling the pressure to bring these players back because of the success that you think they had and your team had. But Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Tigers, do you want to have the same year you had next year except pay more money for it? You're not the Blue Jays. You're not the Dodgers. You didn't win the pennant with the players you had. Now, would you bring in other free agents who are not Boras players to try to change it up, get a different combination? I'm going to give you a wait to see here, Coca. Wait to see when we tell you something's going to happen. If it does, fine. If not, fine. But it's at DavidSamsonPodcast.com, and I'm giving it to you, and it's official. Scott Boras will be forced again to take short-term deals with multiple of his clients. All of the vitriolic spew that comes from his vocal cords will end in the same place because owners and presidents are done with him. They don't fall for it anymore. And Alonso and Bregman and Bellinger, they are not 5 to 7 year players. None of them. multiple of the players will be back to the short-term deals with opt-outs. You wait to see.